Oh, let's see, unmute. Adrian? Adrian? Let's see. Hmm. Michael Lewis, I didn't chat.
I couldn't see any results. I checked every day. Finally, after contact number 7 got involved, the state Daniel told us to have Maggie call a phone number for making.
Somebody has to turn off the TV. Hi, Sandra. Sandra, can you hear me?
Okay,
Okay.
turned off.
Yeah, so everyone else is muted, I guess, except for us at this point. So there we have it.
Michael, can you hear us?
Let's see.
He's connecting to audio. We have him up twice.
I know. It went off, then came back on. Let's see. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, Michael, thank you. Adrian, can you hear me? It said, Michael, maybe you can help. It says everyone else is connecting to video. Oh, there we are. I have you up twice, Michael. Can I take you off one?
Well, I've divided into two people. Yes, you could take one of me off. Take off the, leave the best picture up, okay?
Let's see.
right. Oh, boy. Okay. Sandra, are you there?
If I move, if you get knocked off, come back on, Michael. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Oh, Sandra put up a thumb. She's there.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Adrian, are you there?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me though.
Yes.
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
wonderful.
Okay. Do we sing a song before 5:30 or what?
There's Joan.
We're all set, right?
Hi, Joan.
Hi, Joan.
Made it.
She's connecting to audio now.
Michael, I don't know how I know you, or do I know you?
What?
How do I know you?
I don't know. That's a question I'm always asking people.
Where are you from?
I mean, I've been in DSA and XR. I've been in, I've gone to 350.org meetings. I was protesting outside XL.
Oh, okay. Did I meet you out there?
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not, I guess my picture's not memorable enough to ring any bells. Huh?
Yeah.
I've been invited here. I was invited here by Marie Venner.
Oh, okay. Good. Good.
Happen to know Maria's just joining our advisory board for the CAG.
Yes.
There's Sandra. Hey.
Hey, Sandra, how are you?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
We're fine.
We're all hanging in there, right?
So, I plan to come into the GES meeting.
Okay. It's going to be this Thursday.
Yes, I'm dying to hear all the news. Yes.
You know.
Hi, Joan. Joan, can you hear me?
Joan, where are you?
Joan, we have to get Joan on. Joan, can you hear me? Joan? Hey Siri, call Joan Seaman.
Did you mean Joan Seaman? No.
Yes. Oh, good. Hi, can you hear me on the Zoom call? I can see you. Waiting? Oh, well, I can see you. Why don't you go off and come back in again? All right.
Are you there, Joan?
She's going to go off and try to come back in again, I think.
She just came back in. But no,
Let's see. Oh. Hey Siri, call Joan Seaman.
Did you mean Joan Seaman? Calling now.
So did you come off? Did you go off and come back? Yes. But we can't hear you. That's the problem. So go off, click on the Zoom thing again, and when it says to come on with audio, click yes. Bye. If anyone is better on Zoom than I am, speak up.
I don't know. I don't know why Joan is not coming through, but she's not.
Let's see. Here's Antonio Martinez. Hello, Antonio. No, he can't hear me yet.
He's still connecting to the audio.
Sort of like magic, isn't it?
There is an audio button that it asks you for. I don't know if they know that, right?
I just told her again that she has to click the audio button. But we have several minutes left. We have 6 minutes, probably 10 minutes before we have to get started. Joan? Hey Siri, call Joan Seaman.
Did you mean Joan Seaman? Calling now.
Can you hear me? Not on the phone, but on the video.
Yes.
Oh, Antonio can. Hi, Antonio.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I'm going to send
Okay.
you an invitation. Go to your email and use this one.
How did you come to be here, Antonio?
I just saw a Facebook announcement for this group, and I'm just trying to learn a lot about what's going on around me. So I run a mobile dental company. We go into nursing homes, assisted livings, homeless shelters, low-income housing, sober homes, and I'm just trying to like meet other like-minded people and try to get us educated on what's going on in the different facets of the world right now.
Sounds good.
How are you?
We're all.
How are you doing?
Oh, Antonio, you look a little dark there.
Yeah, I'm in my truck. I'm waiting. Hold on. I'm waiting for my puppy to get out of the vet.
Oh.
Okay. Antonio, where do you live? Do you live in the area? North Denver?
I live in Denver. Where are you guys from?
We're all from, I believe, except Michael. Where are you from? Outer space, Michael?
We're all in Denver. Joan, can you hear me?
No.
Hi, Joan.
Joan is still not coming through.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I saw Sandra Ruiz Padilla. Hi.
I got your message this morning in Messenger.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh,
Steve.
maybe Joan's microphone isn't on. Let's
Well,
see.
It's not here at all.
There she goes.
Antonio, we're all concerned about the Vasquez Boulevard I-70 Superfund site.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what area that covers, but it goes from King Drive, Martin Luther King Drive, which is 32nd, north to 52nd to the city limit.
Hey Siri, call Joan Seaman.
So it's a big space. And I don't know if you know what they have been doing, what the EPA has been doing.
Okay, well, I'm here to listen.
Yeah. Well, the EPA has spent the last 20 years testing
Oh, you're on your iPad.
residential properties in that area. So they've been testing for lead,
You can.
arsenic.
What about your computer?
So that's really what has been
No,
going
I can't
on.
see.
And that's three
What
different
about your computer?
is
With
going.
your phone, we won't see, I don't think.
He's talking to somebody over there. 3 different activities, residential, and then we've got the area by the Coliseum,
Yes.
still working on.
Yes.
O2, you'll hear that spoken of. And then there's an
Hi.
3, which has to do with a
Yes, I can see.
cadmium plume that's under the ground. And we don't know what it's doing, but we're still trying to understand ourselves what's going on. So those are three of the pieces. They've closed up the OU1. Formally, they've closed it up, but they haven't, we don't feel they've actually completed the job. And we're struggling with how many parts per million are lead in the soil that are on residential properties.
Adrian Brown is with us.
Who is?
Adrian Brown, who's also on our,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, Adrian, welcome. And Theron Mackley's here. Theron, you need to know, well, he can tell you. He's from the DSMOG group. And we're working on trying to get some measurement, what do you call them, Theron? You'll have to unmute yourself. Measurement systems put up around North Denver, especially, to see what the pollution is like.
The monitors, you mean?
Yeah, monitors. They're
Monitors for the air or for the ground? For both?
for the air.
For the air, yeah.
Well, that has nothing to do, though, with the EPA. They only do soil, is my understanding. Someone should tell me if I'm wrong.
Well,
I think the EPA has to be redone somehow.
I think they're probably afraid to do the air.
Probably, yes,
That's the problem.
yes.
That ain't gonna change.
Well, we've got a few people here tonight that are working on air too. I see Ren Smith is here from the Sierra Club. And Ren is a new guy on the street trying to pull things together, right, Ren?
Yep, that's my official job title, new guy on the street. Thank you all for having me. Really excited.
I can hear now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah, yes, congratulations, welcome, Joan.
I
Glad.
didn't do anything. I just opened up my computer.
Oh.
Good. Oh, here we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, Ava and Janine Natterman are here, as is Adrian Brown, who is on our advisory board.
Yes,
Janine's in Hawaii.
Janine Natterman.
Yes,
Oh,
there she is. She's in Hawaii.
wow.
Wow.
She's out of her beach chair right now.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me who 2265 is on the phone? Is that?
Yes, this is Angela Garcia. I'm a
Thank you.
Global resident and a member of Global First. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Angela.
glad to have you. And Susan Noble, who are you? Well, I didn't get Susan.
She's muted.
Yeah, how do we unmute Susan?
Hi, Janine.
She has to do it.
Okay,
Susan, welcome. Susan Noble, would you like to give yourself an introduction? Oh, well. So,
She's a council member from Commerce City.
oh, maybe.
He is? Cool.
Good.
That's wonderful.
Is she really got palm trees in the background and that ocean?
Yes, she's in Hawaii.
Oh my God.
Hawaii.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, come on.
We can all dream, see?
I know, huh? Beautiful.
Keep dreaming.
So let's give it just a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. How's that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, so people with all their problemos and everything. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, Ava.
Where's
I'm
it?
going to test my voice box to see if it works. Does it?
It certainly does.
Good.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. How's your house doing up in the mountains?
Well, I just sent you a picture. It's we finally got the basement finished. In another couple of years, we'll have a house.
Oh, good. I was hoping it didn't go up in the fire.
No, it just missed. We're just about half a mile away from the fire.
Who was that?
Hello, Dennis.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm fine. The Irish Catholic Mafia has arrived.
That's right, yes. Well, we've got an O'Connor there.
What is the whole, your name?
Somebody needs to mute or to take care of the background noise.
Who has? Joan, yours is.
What's mine? What?
You're
Oh,
Yeah, you have to turn off your phone. And your iPad. Is that doing it? No. Rachel, what do you think?
About what?
That scratching noise.
Oh, well, let's see. We have Adrian that needs to mute. Everybody needs to mute. If you're not talking, you need to mute.
Okay.
We put it mute.
Adrian, let's see who else. We have Dennis that needs to mute. So I was talking, and so you don't mute me when I'm talking. But
Well, I just muted everybody, and then we can just sort of go back one by one. And if someone wants to talk, please raise your hand. I can unmute everybody if we get rid of that noise. So, and here is it, QK. Okay. Now, how do I unmute everyone? Let's see. Ask all to unmute.
You want us all to unmute? Is that what you want us to do?
Well, just to see if we got rid of that sound. Because it's kind of nice if we can interact.
Yeah.
well, you just turn off your thing. You just unmute yourself and then you talk.
Okay, well, I guess everybody mute yourself and tell Fran, are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay, we'll get the show on the road. Let me make sure I've got my right screen share up. I don't have any. Let's see. Okay, so.
We're going to give a report, right, on Chuck Norris.
Just a second. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Here we go. Let's see. Screen share. Keynote. Play. You have another person coming in. Fonda. It wouldn't be a party without Fonda. So, can everybody see that?
Yes.
So Fran, the first thing are the,
Introductions.
yeah, everybody go around and introduce themselves.
Bridget, introduce yourself.
I'm Bridget Walsh and I'm a member of the CAG.
Okay, I'm Fran Aguirre. I'm a member of the CAG. Who's next in line here?
This is
I'm
Ava
Fonda
Cruz.
Apostolopoulos, State Project Manager, State of Colorado.
Okay, that you're CDPHE, right, Fonda?
I'm sorry?
Are you CDPHE?
Yes.
Okay. Ava?
Hi, I'm Adrian. I'm with Global First, and I'm a 20-year resident of Global.
I'm Adrian Brown. I'm love to see somebody else, particularly a male, called Adrian on the call. So
Nice.
I'm a long-time civil engineer, been involved in matters relating to the city and the world, particularly with respect to water. And I'm delighted to be back here again after a bit of an absence.
I'll go next because Adrian, that's really awesome. For the last several years, I've organized sociology of water in some of the sociology conferences that I've been a part of, and organized that panel. And every single community has an issue with water. So that's really cool to hear. I'm Rachel Lehman. I'm your Healthy Community Chair. That's it.
Are you representing Candy?
Rachel? I can.
You can?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever is politically okay for me to say, let me know. I'm fine to do that. I'm happy to transmit information back and forth between Councilwoman Sedebaca. Yes.
Sandra?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra Ruiz. I'm from EGS and Partners, and also I'm a member of the GS Coalition. And I'm happy to be back after a long time to the CAG.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Christine?
Well, unmute yourself. Okay.
Christine O'Connor, I'm a CAG member, but I'm also taking notes. So just for notes, Rachel, you are on the CAG, and then Sandra, I can't remember if you still are or
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yes and yes. Okay, thank you.
Joan?
Hi. Gosh, I'm an activist. Joan Seaman.
You're good.
I just research, remember, I just research and advise.
Right.
I can't hear one of these people, honey. It's a problem. Sorry.
Okay, Ren?
Hey all, I'm Ren Smith. I'm a community organizer with Sierra Club. This is my first time at a CAG meeting, so thank you all so much for having me. Yeah, I am just here to listen and learn and see how I can support. And I live in North Denver in Montbello.
Next.
Janine, I think.
Yeah, Janine.
Hawaii, Miss Hawaii.
Hello from Littleton. This is Janine Hatterman. I'm a public involvement coordinator for the State Health Department.
Great.
Dennis?
Dennis Gallagher, honored to have been state rep, state senator, councilman, auditor, and now the parliamentarian of the group in case there's ever an issue. I've had quite a little bit of experience with parliamentary issues and happy to help out. And I always learn a lot on these meetings.
So,
Next.
Theron?
Hello, everyone. Theron Makeley. I'm with DSMOG Denver. This is my first CAG meeting. Fran twisted my arm to get me on here. Actually, DSMOG Denver is working on air pollution, especially with particulate matter and doing some remote sensing. We're also, we have a team of doctors, emergency room doctors, and we're trying to put together an education program for schools, school nurses, and parents around teaching people around the school about the local sources of air pollution.
Thank you. Ava, welcome back.
Hi, thank you. Nice to see everyone's face, even on the computer screen.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, Ava Farouche. I'm with Earth Justice, just checking in to see what's going on.
And 3171, that is Angela.
No, 3171 is Chuck.
Oh, hi, Chuck. Thank God I don't put words in your mouth then tonight.
I'm Chuck Norris. I'm a technical consultant to the CAG in issues related to geology, hydrogeology, geochemistry, that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
We haven't heard from Michael Lewis. We talked a little bit, but.
Okay. My name's Michael Lewis. I've been in Denver for about 32 years, I guess. I was in San Francisco before that. I'm a member of DSA, Denver, and I meet.
What does DSA stand for?
Denver, Democratic Socialists of America.
Yay!
Yeah, there we go. The one person in the House of Representatives who is a very dynamic and wonderful person is in that too, and that's Ocasio-Cortez. Anyway, so I meet with 350 also, and I did a couple of actions with Extinction Rebellion, and I've been demonstrating in front of the XL headquarters recently with a number of other people.
Thank you very much for being here. Now we're going to go. We're going to
No,
go
Angela. You forgot Angela.
Angela.
Short time, Angela.
Hi, my name is Angela Garcia. I am a global resident for 50 years, a homeowner for 28, a former Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment employee, and a member of Global First.
Thank you for being here. Okay, Fran, we're going to go back to the screen share, and there we go. We've done the introductions.
Zoom tip. Okay. If you want to take a minute, so you know, I'll know we want one person speaking at a time, and that we not multitask and distraction, and mute yourself not speaking, and identify and turn on your video. Okay, we got approval of minutes. Who? I don't know where the any minutes show.
They were all sent out in the November newsletter so that people could take their time reading them. So do we have, for the CAG members, do we have a vote to approve the October meeting minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. I see a lot of hands. Any nays? No. Okay. So this is the agenda. We're going to have the CAG Technical Advisory Report, 10 minutes. Chuck Norris, who appeared miraculously. We're going to have the agency reports, and then members of, Rachel's going to do a thing on environmental racism for us. We're going to welcome Marie Jenner to our CAG Advisory Board. And then we're actually going to adjourn the CAG meeting for community concerns for 60 minutes. And everybody is welcome to stay for that portion of the program. So Chuck Norris, he has 20 plus years of professional experience in geology, hydrology, and management in the applied and theoretical geosciences. And let's see, how do I let someone in? Oh, admit.
Is that 171?
Just a second. I'm trying to get up here to admit, but with the, I have to put it back on to admit. All right. Chuck, we thank you for your devotion to the CAG and to the community. We couldn't have done it without you, and that's the God's truth. So, there's another person. All right. Can you guys see the PowerPoint well enough without having to go full screen so that I can still let people in?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, so.
Yes. I don't think it's big enough.
You don't?
That's good, that's good now.
Have somebody else share it so you can let people in.
How do I share it?
If somebody else can share, then you can be the moderator.
How do I share?
You did share, but the problem is it's you sharing, so you can't also see the other.
Well, you can make somebody co-host, or you can make it so that multiple people can share. And then
You would need to send it, you'd need to send the presentation to someone else.
Yep.
And then let them have the screen.
Oh, well, it would be a pain in the neck, so.
And just enable the share screen, and you, if you can add someone else as a host, and they can admit whoever's coming into the meeting.
Do they have, okay, how do I do that?
So go where participants are, and there's an option there that says make host.
Okay, so participants.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I've got participants up here.
And it has where it says more.
Yes.
And then press there, and I believe it says make host.
It says ask all to mute, mute participants, allow participants to mute, play sounds, lock meeting. There's nothing about, so why don't we just try to press ahead with, can most of you see?
Bridget, you can try this too. This might be another alternative. If you go over to like, go to Christine's name or her picture, and at the top there's the blue box, and it has 3 dots in it, in the right-hand corner.
Go to Christine.
Yeah, just as an example,
Okay.
and then you can go there, and you might be able to see make co-host.
It says make host, make co-host. Okay.
Co-host. So you can make her a co-host, and then she can be admitting people in.
Oh, that is so good. She's on the phone.
Or Fran or anybody, like just anybody can be the admitter.
Okay, make co-host.
Admit people in.
Mm-hmm. And then you can focus on just doing the slide, the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to be a co-host?
Rachel, you do it.
Okay, I'll admit people in. That's not a big deal. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Now we're set. We are ready to go. So I'm going to do screen share and share. I'm sorry. I apologize for the mess up. Okay. There's Chuck. And he is going to be talking about, he made some comments previously about the OU2, about the report, the technical memorandum on
I don't
scoping.
even remember having my kids there. Oh, that's real. I don't.
She's okay. He made some comments on the technical memorandum on scoping the revised remedial investigation for Vasquez Boulevard Revision 1. And Chuck, don't let me put words in your mouth, but this is sort of the area. It was OU2, which is the purple. That's the area we're talking about. And here's another diagram that sort of shows the Coliseum and the Global Landing outfall. Chuck, these are your comments. Why don't you take over?
Well, actually, I conveyed last night, I hoped to Jan and some of the others that the more detailed comments I intend to offer on that technical memorandum on scoping has just not yet come together for me in a coherent way. and I will not be offering any comments on it this month. I'm gonna not try, and I'm going to try to not confuse people, get something in writing to the CAG that can be distributed 10 days or so before the December meeting, and then I will offer some summary comments then, but I don't have a presentation tonight.
So the email that you sent with the comments, including apparently US EPA is on board, or at least willing to look the other way, those comments, you don't care to share those tonight?
I have no presentation to make tonight.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Chuck, and we will look forward to your presentation in December. Then the next thing we have is a presentation by Dr. Bruce Lanphier, who is a world-class expert and researcher in the impacts of toxins. He has become increasingly vexed by our inability to control the pandemic of consumption, the largely preventable pandemic of chronic disease and disability due to widespread exposure to toxic chemicals, industrial pollutions, and excess consumption. So,
for the past 50 years, we've clung to the belief that with enough investment, we'll find cures for what kills us. We've invested billions of dollars in technology and a never-ending search for elusive cures, waging war on cancer, synthesizing new drugs, and hunting for genetic links with disease and aging. Why do we invest so much in genetic research? Why is it so alluring? Only a few diseases are exclusively genetic, like cystic fibrosis, and a few are exclusively environmental, like being hit by a car. Most chronic diseases or disorders, like cancer, heart disease, and autism, result from the interaction of environmental triggers, like air pollution, and our genetic makeup. Focusing on genetics makes sense if we want to continue to chase elusive cures. But here's the thing. If we identify environmental triggers or causes and eliminate them, we can prevent children from developing leukemia, autism, and other diseases. Investing in cures, which worked well for infections, gave us a sense of comfort in the face of death and disability of unknown cause. We can't live in a state of perpetual doubt, Daniel Kahneman said, so we make up the best story possible, and we live as if the story were true. But this belief that genetic research and technology will solve our health problems is flawed. It fails to acknowledge that the worldwide epidemic of chronic disease is largely due to technologies of the past: tobacco, motor vehicles, air pollution, heavily processed foods, and toxic chemicals. But wait, aren't promising cures for chronic disease just around the corner? There are some effective drugs like antibiotics and insulin, but few real cures. Childhood leukemia, a dreaded disease of the 21st century, is a success story. Today, over 80% of children are cured of leukemia, once considered a uniformly fatal disease. Still, children with leukemia undergo wrenching treatments that disrupt their lives over many years. Some develop new cancers from chemotherapy or radiation. Many live in constant fear of relapse. What's more, cases of leukemia have risen by over 35% during the past 40 years. So many more children and their families will experience this wrenching disease. Let's take a closer look at why some children develop leukemia. This cluster of 100 children represents all children with leukemia. We've learned that paints and solvents, traffic, pesticides, and tobacco smoke can increase a child's risk of developing leukemia. If we eliminated these environmental triggers, we could prevent about 25% of cases. Yet too often, cancer agencies and foundations remain fixated on treatment, even as avoidable causes are discovered. In fact, only 1% of research dollars for childhood cancer is spent on prevention. Why are we doing more to prevent leukemia? Let's look at another condition, autism. Autism has risen dramatically over the past 4 decades. Our genes don't change that quickly, so the rapid rise in autism is primarily due to environmental triggers. Yet we spent 96% of research dollars to identify genes linked to autism. Only 4% was spent to identify environmental triggers. Medicine is great at mending people if they have health insurance, but the real victories, like the elimination of polio, the reduction in motor vehicle deaths, and the decline in lung cancer, largely resulted from community-wide prevention programs. People get it. Over 70% of Americans favor spending more on prevention, yet 95% of our overall health dollars are spent on medical care and expensive drugs. What can we do about it? We need parents, physicians, and advocates to use their voices to support prevention. We need stronger laws and policies to protect people from pollutants. We need to test chemicals for toxicity before they are used in consumer products. We need to invest more in research to prevent disease. It won't be easy, but it's time to revise our story. Our lives depend on it.
So, Fran?
Yes. Anyway, I don't know what we have for an EPA report. Is there anyone here from the EPA? I think not. So, I don't know how we do an update on OU2 and OU3. Andrew Ross, are you here? I don't think so. We need to do a better job of getting some of those people to be giving us reports on what's happening with OU2 and OU3. So I don't see anything. And Fonda, you are here. Are you ready to say something? Do you want to give us a report on anything, please?
We can't hear you, Fonda. You're muted. Fonda.
Got it.
Okay, so we had some, we put some suggested topics up, and if you can enlighten us or give us updates on any one of those or all of them, that would be terrific.
And so
Thank you
basically,
for being
the
here.
big one I want to talk about is the institutional controls for OU1, the letters. So I was mistaken on one part of my assessment of talking about when we did our title searches. Property, as long as the property has not changed ownership, anyone who had a property that was tested back then, it was above action levels, it will show up on the property deeds. However, if it changed hands, that's where you cannot see that. So what we're going to do to rectify that is every single property that either was tested at above action levels and any property that was not tested, we're going to send certified letters to the owners and to the occupants of the home to make sure that at least they cannot say they never were notified, even though they were notified before back in 2005 or 15. And that's about what we're thinking about doing right now. And those letters are going to be going out beginning of next year. So it'll be in English, it'll be in Spanish. It'll also have ways to help protect people as far as common sense preventive measures. And at least we will have the letters to the owners and occupants so that they know they received it by having it sent certified.
Thank you.
Can I clarify? Can I clarify for the minutes?
Oh.
Pavanda,
Yes, I'm sorry.
I think just to clarify that you're saying if the property never changed ownership, then anything tested will show up on existing
anything
records.
that had the deed restriction will show up.
What is that?
So that means that anything that was tested.
No, in other words, it will show up. In other words, if you own the property back when we put the deed restrictions on, you're still the owner of the property, and then it's getting ready to change hands, it will show up in the deed. However, if it's changed hands since that time, it will not show up.
Either way, whether or not you were tested, whether you were tested and
But we're not tested, correct.
In the title, it won't show up in a title search for new owners, for prospective new owners.
I'm sorry, Bridget, I can't understand you.
I'm sorry, I said that, I was just repeating what you said, that if for the new owners, for new prospective owners, when they're going to be purchasing a property and they have a title search, then it will not show up in the title search.
It will, as long as it has not changed hands since
Right.
the time of the issuance of the deed restriction.
No,
or the notice.
Well, I just want to make sure I get this. Bridget, you think he's saying that for as long as the property stays as is in the same people's hands, that restriction is recorded and will show up. So if a new owner goes to buy it, because it's still there, you'll see it the first time. But after that owner, the second owner takes ownership, then it may not show up.
That wasn't my understanding, but has the EPA made any clarification
As far as what?
as far as fixing the problem? They promised to fix the problem by September 2021 in their
Well,
5-year report.
their idea of fixing the problem, they're sending out the letters certified. So that way, the person who sells the property has to give that notice to the new buyer. If they don't, as you know, as a realtor, there are laws against that, and they can basically be sued.
But the EPA was going to try to fix the problem with the clerk and recorder so that it would always show up on any title searches for anyone buying the property.
Well, that's not my understanding. All I know is this is what we've decided to do right now.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure if that means they're going to still try to do that in the future.
Bridget, I have a question.
Joan, go ahead.
Fonda, I just filed a FOIA and I have a email from Jesse to, I don't know how to spell, it's Aaron Urdelius.
Oh, dear.
And this was dated end of June.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sending this email out regarding 2 locations. And he says, I received the sampling report for 3753 Franklin from CDPHE below the cleanup standards for the site. Please notarize the file it with the clerk and recorder office. I'm still waiting for the notarization for 4115 Garfield. So that was end of June that he's making that statement. And I was confused about where is EPA on this? Are they the ones? Because he is indicating that they're going to file it with the clerk and recorder's office, or they'll call them. I know that's what they've said before. They make the call and hope that it gets done.
It's more than a call. They have to actually get an attorney involved and everything else too. So, and I'm having a hard time understanding you, kind of breaking up there, Joan.
Sorry.
So let me make sure I understand it correctly. Did someone buy the property or did someone test the property and it was a below action levels, or where are they? I don't understand the question.
Well, what I'm saying is I didn't investigate the actual cleanup, but it appears that the property obviously, or it appears that they cleaned up the property or something, or they decided to sample it. It was sampled, but here's where EPA is saying that they received the sampling report. So they received the sampling report. And as an example, it was 3753 Franklin. And they received the sampling report from CDPHE.
Correct. And the sampling report, let me explain this. So what happened was the owner of the property notified me about what's going on. I put them together with an environmental consultant.
Could everybody mute, please? Because we can't hear someone's got some funny noise going on.
There we go. And
Not
so
you, Fonda.
they went out, got an environmental consultant. They sampled as per the protocols for OU1. The results came back, and then I sent the results to Jessie so Jessie can remove the deed notice on her property.
But has there been any progress on the final report of the technical memorandum on scoping?
As I sent you the emails, I notified Jessie that you guys
Please,
wanted it.
everybody mute. We can't hear.
I notified Jesse that your request, you wanted to see the final draft. And he said that he is still making some edits. And once he's completed making the edits, he will send it out to the CAG. So as of last week, he had not completed the edits.
Okay. What about any update on the seepage of leachate from OU2 into the South Platte? Any progress
OU2 in the
there?
South Platte, they're going to investigate that as part of the new remedial investigation. So they're going to do a kind of phased approach, do a bunch of sampling in the area, and then based upon what the results on the groundwater are on the upgradient side will dictate how and if they will do additional sampling down gradient of the outfall to determine if it actually is a point source emissions.
Okie dokie. And then any progress on OU3 on the cadmium plume?
That's still, Jess is still trying to get a contractor in place.
Okay, thanks very much, Fonda.
Sure.
Does anyone else have questions for Fonda? Fran, do you?
Bridget?
Yes.
Are we able to get any minutes? Fonda, you participate in meetings, and I was wondering if we can get minutes to see how that's kind
We
of.
don't typically these minutes. Typically we don't take minutes at these meetings. Plus, it's considered according to, because it's like these are small. These aren't exactly situations where we take minutes. So as things go along, I do what I have to do and go on. I mean, I don't take minutes of these meetings.
Does
Plus,
anybody?
It would be considered, according to our attorney, it's also kind of client privilege at that time until, because we're still working with the agency, but I don't have minutes that we take for these meetings.
Does anybody else take minutes?
Not that I know of.
Fonda, I have a question.
Yes,
Is there a way we can get copies of those letters that are going out to people? And
I can give you an example letter. I don't want to send all of them to you because it's going to be a huge file.
for example, and
Yeah, it's the same letters we sent out last year. It's no different.
okay, the other,
It's going to be the same thing. Only thing that's going to be different is it's going to be certified this year.
okay, are these all going out to the same people as you sent them out to last year, or are there different people?
It's
Different,
the same people, except for the ones who have tested since that time and have been removed and have found to be clean and are either been removed or in the process of being removed.
And you're sending them to the new owners?
Well, if the new owners have clean property, they don't need to have a letter because the property's clean.
But
We're
what
only
about
going to
the
send them
dirty
to people that have not been tested and clean,
Right.
and the ones that have been tested that were above action levels and the ones that refused testing.
And
They're
if the
still on the
property,
list.
if the property has changed hands since the original or since the last batch of letters that you sent out, will you be sending them to the new owners?
Yeah, every year, it's very simple. The database where we go on is the base recorder's database. So every year we go on, we put the address in and it shows us who the present owner is and where they live. If they don't live at that address, we send it to the occupant also.
Thank you.
thank you, Fonda. Are we,
I have a question. I was on mute. Fonda, did you compare the September 2019 list of all the addresses in the 2019 report to the list you have? And do you have, somebody sent out a spreadsheet. Fonda, did you have a spreadsheet? It was yours, huh?
Yes.
And you sent that, do you know who you sent that to? Because we weren't quite sure.
I sent it to the CAG. The CAG requested it.
Excellent. So what I'm saying is, did you compare what you're doing now to the list that's on the September 2019 report?
Yeah, it's the same database.
Well, no, I'm just saying what we saw, that's fine, but did you compare the two, the public is now, because in the 2019 report, third 5-year review, all those addresses are in there. And I was just wondering, because I didn't compare them to what you're doing compared to what's sitting on that list. And I'm wondering if you had done
So
that.
what I do is I have the original list.
From the
It's the
19
same one that they used to put for the 2019 5-year review.
Joan,
So
I think that you and Fonda need to clear this up because you've got so much static that it's making it impossible to hear. Joan?
Yeah, Fonda's answering it. It's good. Can he finish?
Yeah, but there's so much static on your line that it's making it really hard to hear.
I'll just make it real straight. The database that was used in 2019 is the same database I use. I update it as properties are taken off the list. So whatever's been taken off the list because the sampling results have been shown to be below action levels, that's the current people. So anyone that was above action levels has not been tested, and anyone that was never tested before will still be on that list. Nothing's changed.
Okay, we have to move on. Joan, we have to move on because we have the rest of the meeting to do. So Fran, do you want to do Marie?
Yes, but I thought that we had Rachel ahead of Marie.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Well, I think everyone can see the statement that's on the board here right now. Marie is a former public servant still dedicated to best service for Coloradans. She has served in 3 state agencies in addition to serving as a local planning commissioner. I think another important thing is that Marie is working hard to create coalitions so we can deal with the pollution that we have all around us. Her undergraduate degree is from CU Boulder and deals with people and the environment. Her graduate degree is in planning, policy analysis, and public administration from UNC Chapel Hill. That's in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
She is on the leadership team of the Denver Metro Network Sierra Club and leads the Colorado chapter's Air Pollution Committee. She's an active member of Together Colorado, which is a group of faithful, of religious people who have decided, who have banded together to work on the environment, environmental justice, social justice, all of that. She has conducted around 50 research projects to all 50 states and local governments nationwide through the National Academy's cooperative and strategic research programs. She's a mother of 2 children. 3 generations of their family on both sides are in Colorado. She also has at least one of her children that has pretty serious asthma. And once again, I think this is part of what's motivating her to do something with getting our air cleaned up and our soil and our water, as we have it all around us. This pollution is all around us. Anyway, okay, that's Marie, and Marie's one of our new advisory people, so everyone is aware of that. Adrian Brown, what did you just say? Thank you, Fonda. I think that's what Adrian just.
He's thanking me for showing up.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. If anyone has any suggestions for new CAG members or new advisory board members, please keep them in mind and send them in to Fran.
And then also, Joan, if you want to, or anyone else who has questions for Fonda, as long as he's here, you can put them in the chat, and there's a way to independently ask him too, if you just want to ask him something one-on-one. If you just go to the chat and you can click on that person that you want to ask a one-on-one question to, or you can ask a question in the general chat. That might be kind of a way, if you still have questions, to kind of keep moving those along as we're kind of doing the presentation. So that's something that's useful as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Are you ready, Rachel, to take?
Oh, yeah, I thought Marie was going.
No, Marie is not here. She had a tonight, but we're just introducing her as our newest advisory person.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, it's all yours.
All right. So I have just a couple of cool, graphic things to kind of help out in talking about environmental racism. So I'm going to share my screen.
So I see hit stop share.
Nope, I got it. Okay. So let me, hold on. Stop share. I gotta make sure my sound is on.
Hi, Drew.
Hi, everyone.
America, air and water are separate but unequal.
Environmental racism is the new Jim Crow. Yeah, I get it. The environment isn't a person. How can it be racist? But the most basic pieces of the environment, the air we breathe and the water we drink, are controlled and designed by people. And people can be racist. More than half of all people who live close to hazardous waste are people of color. Floodplains nationwide have high populations of blacks and Hispanics. Black children are twice as likely to suffer from lead poisoning as white children. This inequality is no accident. Pollution and the risk of disaster are assigned to black and brown communities through generations of discrimination and political neglect. Enslaved Africans were commodities partly because their work carried environmental risks that were unacceptable to whites, like exposure to heat, malaria, and mosquitoes. As Jim Crow laws created racial segregation, they also reinforced an environmental system that still disadvantages minorities. It's no wonder that black and Hispanic children have the highest rates of asthma, or that hurricanes like Katrina, Sandy, and Matthew did their worst damage in communities of color. Rich white neighborhoods can update their water pipes, but not places like Flint. The Jim Crow laws are dead and gone, but the fact that people of color are still more likely to die from environmental causes is no accident.
Okay, that was short and sweet. Then, basically, so as a sociologist, one of the things that I talk to my students a lot about is that your zip code, oh, hold on, my thing is talking to me right now. Okay, there we go. So essentially, what I constantly tell my students is that your zip code will ultimately determine your future. I mean, just by being from where you're born, it will determine your outcomes. And so in this regard, what we have is we have we have areas that are polluted. So why are they polluted? It's sort of this chicken and egg kind of thing that ends up happening. It's like, okay, so did the people of color get there first, or did the companies get there first, or was it like vice versa? And so in cities, it's a lot of back and forth for real. And so essentially, let me just kind of share with you what Denver has done, so you can kind of get an idea. So basically, when we think about environmental racism, we see things like lower property values, we see higher pollution, we see lots of dangerous chemicals in these communities, and that's by design. It's by design. Let me show you what happens in Denver. Share screen. Okay, so as you can see, I just pulled this off of Denverite, and you guys can go check it out and read more in the article if you would like. So what we have is this L shape. It's the inverted L shape. And this really does, like, there's so many things that happen along this L shape. It is insane. It makes so much, but it makes so much sense. So like in other cities, you might have like, you know, it might be concentrated in different ways. It might be like, okay, so on the east side of town, it's more polluted, or like, you know, literally the other side of the tracks, the other side of the river, the other side of the bridge, whatever the case may be. It's sort of that NIMBY, not in my backyard kind of mentality. So if you just push it over to somewhere else, then you won't have to see it and be affected by it. Well, in Denver, one of the biggest like explainers for everything that's happened is the dog food plant that we have here and the smell from it. And so, and as we know, that's right here in the Globeville area, Swansea area, and within, you know, kind of adjacent to this, the Superfund. So we are very, very mindful of the fact that that is placed here, and was placed here deliberately so that it wouldn't infringe upon the people who were south of I-70 in particular. So here we go. This just kind of shows you. Did I flip? Oh, okay. Oh, it's kind of, okay, here we go. So it changes, sorry. Okay, so here's the kind of it's going to kind of cycle through there, and we can kind of look through them and kind of see what's going on. So we see where white people are concentrated. We see where education is concentrated. We see where trees are concentrated. We see where displacement is concentrated. So just so that everyone can kind of get get an idea of how like entrenched, and I'll just kind of get in here, how entrenched this actual inverted L is in all of the kinds of decision making that happens. So recently I was a part of the group living advisory committee, and basically when we looked at like who, like where do we want to have it available for people to have more than 2 adults in a housing residence, that was actually like, if you looked at where the underneath where it says more than 50% white in that light blue area, in that space alone, we definitely had people, we had a lot of people fighting against the group living advisory or group living policy, because what group living does, sorry, my dog is and friends are going to say, hey, I have like, sorry, I have lots of friends here coming in. And so what we have is that we have the group living people fighting that all over the place in these areas that are predominantly more white, because of the fact that that kind of says something about people, I guess. It's like the stereotype. Also, they didn't want halfway houses to be put into these light blue areas as well, because there is this assumption that will bring problems, that will bring certain kinds of people, etc. So it's really important to kind of think about in Denver, where is our environmental racism? Where is it impacting people most? And again, it just becomes sort of this chicken and egg thing. Hold on, let me stop sharing. It becomes this chicken and egg thing. So what we have is an environment, like a neighborhood that has become depreciated in value because of its adjacent to industry. And then we have people who don't want to move in there anymore. And in Denver in particular, it's in that inverted L. And so everything is kind of prescribed to that. And what we also see, if we start to, it's so crazy. Like when you start overlaying maps, it's like kind of a nerdy fun thing to do, but you like see no trees, education, people of color, white, like all these things start to layer on top of each other. And what we see now with COVID is that COVID is actually in this space of, that's the people that are going to be affected most by COVID are the people who are in these environmentally racist places, because their immunities have already been compromised by that zip code that they live in. And, I'm sure Sandra can speak to this, and then another one of our CAG members who's longstanding, Mary Hernandez, can speak to all of the physical illnesses that her family has experienced just by being exposed to these areas. Now, just to kind of one more point to add to this is that it's interesting to note that is like, who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for my deteriorating health if I'm in a zip code that has been polluted for centuries? Like for the last couple of centuries, it's been polluted by colonization and all these other things. Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible? And why can't, like, again, it's disingenuous to not hold corporations accountable, because the chemicals are coming from the corporations. Sorry, my dog is acting like a horse right now. And so, so the corporations are responsible for all of this pollution. And so when we're thinking about healthcare and affordable healthcare, well, it would be nice if our neighborhoods weren't polluted in the first place, right? And so it's really I think it's really important to start really shifting our thinking about who is responsible for the environmental toxins, who's responsible for putting that, whatever it is in the environment that caused the asthma in these kids, that caused the whatever. I mean, these are expenses that we are absolutely burdened with as consumers and people in this community.
Rachel, could you speak about the role of government?
Yes, so there's a couple of things that govern. So the Environmental Protection Agency, yay, right? The Environmental Protection Agency is actually the governmental organization that is responsible for holding corporations, holding entities responsible for following guidelines. Now, what we do know, though, with all of the expertise that Dr. Lamphere has brought to us, is that those standards are crap. Super duper crap on a crap stick. They're horrible. And so the role of government is to work on these standards and to make them so that they are actually going to prevent these kinds of illnesses from happening. Is going to prevent the air quality from being degraded so much that now these kiddos. And if you look at that inverted L, literally along that inverted L, higher rates of asthma, higher rates of respiratory disease, higher rates of heart disease, obesity, like the list goes on and on, because not only on top of that, there's also, that's where a lot of the food deserts are. That's where the highways are. And that highway system, it does so much. There's so much more. It's air pollution, it's noise pollution. It's also like we have these chemicals that are consistently being cranked out of these cars. And so it is, I can't really do a quick thing on environmental racism because there's so many layers, but ultimately we have to push on government. We have to make sure, like, the whole point is if people want more affordable healthcare and people want to have, healthier folks, then we have to have a healthier environment. And that includes so many things. It includes air quality, it includes the soil quality, water quality. It also includes having fresh, nutritious fruits and vegetables and the ability to access food.
Thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Yeah, one thing I would like to add is, I don't know if you all know that the governor signed a bill on health and safety, needs to be included when they're studying this pollution coming from Suncor or wherever. And Marie Venner set up a meeting with the governor to be able to talk to him about all these things you're talking about right now, Rachel. And that is December 3rd at 11:30 in the morning. They're going to have a couple of stories told about, well, either from Mary Hernandez or Yadira Sanchez, if Yadira is better. She is sick right now. But anyway, the governor has graciously given us 1/2 hour of his time from 12 o'clock till 12:30. So if you're interested, I will get out the Zoom information if people want to plug into that. We're actually looking for 500 people to be there on that call in order to say to the governor, we are concerned that he is not implementing the law. That law has been in effect now for almost 2 years, and we do not know what he has done. He has done very little, if he's done anything, except say the words. There's not action connected to it. So keep that in mind.
Would it be useful to, if we have, make sure to get some people together to get a few talking points under our belts, and just maybe in particular from this community advisory group and what our concerns are with this neighborhood in particular? I don't know if that would be useful for folks to do that.
Drew?
Hi, everybody. I'm
Hi,
really
Drew.
glad. I'm really glad you're putting this thing together on December 3rd, Fran. And there's some people on the call, I think Sandra and maybe some residents, Yadira would be good. I will be, at that very moment, I will be on a flight to San Francisco if I could still do it. So I can't be there. But I see that Ava Farouche is on this call from Earth Justice. And Earth Justice did a lot of work on this very subject. And I don't know, I sort of turned to Ava to ask, you know, maybe we could just summarize the work that has been done, you know, or not done really, you know, by the city. So just a thought that maybe Earth Justice could help, perhaps Sierra Club, but I think also include residents. If you only have a half hour, I mean, if you can't present for a half hour, you probably want some dialogue with the governor, right? So maybe you need to put together 2 or 3 minute spots by several residents or something, you know, and then just some thoughts. But I think you should prepare for this and organize this. This is very important, and really put the screws to the governor, because they're not doing this. They're not enforcing it, as you said.
Drew, you need to know that Marie Venner's been working on this for months. And I know she is putting together exactly, well, I mean, a lot of what's going to happen with the governor. So we'll have to just stay in touch and get word out to people as best we can when we can.
That's great, Fran. That's great. I wish I could be there. Thank you.
Well, you could plug in from the airplane, right? Can't you get on a Zoom meeting when you're up in the air?
Right.
I don't know. I'm joking. It might be possible. Who knows? Anyway, yes. Who's asking?
With the governor himself or his team?
Well, my understanding is it's the governor. Now, whether he pulls some other kind of a trick, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Can someone explain what's going to happen on December 3rd? You didn't come out very well. I'm trying to understand what is the deal for December 3rd.
Okay, December 3rd, there will be a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
With the governor. It will start at noon.
Discussing what?
Discussing the new law that was just recently signed with regard to health and safety, with regard to pollution and all the other, I don't know, whatever that act is that they passed. Does anybody know what the act is that the governor signed?
1261.
Say it again, Theron.
1261.
Yeah, 1261, which says safety and health must be considered by the fracking people, by, you know, anyone who's dealing with pollution problems. Is that clear?
I think that it actually says that health and safety has to be supreme. It has to be the major consideration. And after that, you can go ahead, I guess, and do whatever you're going to do. But they reversed the idea. It's not a case of everybody involved on the same level. The health and safety of the people are now being considered paramount.
Thank you, Michael.
And can I just give a point of history here?
Yes.
When I was in the Colorado State Senate representing the neighborhood of Globeville, Larry, and Swansea, I went to Colorado Boulevard, and when I was in the Senate on the Health Committee, the Colorado Department of Health came to the legislature. They were so proud of themselves. They were going to put a medical waste burning site right across from Swansea School. And I said, why did you not think of putting this out in Cherry Hills Village? And they just couldn't believe it. They said, well, they've already got the Purina plant, the dog chow plant, and they were so proud of themselves. They were going to get 90% of all the waste. Only 10% of the waste would fall onto the playground while the children were playing. This is a classic example of what I think Rachel was talking about. And this was at a time, this is quite a few years past, when not only were there Hispanic Americans living in the neighborhood, there were a lot of older Slavic Americans, original unacceptables, and deplorables who lived in that neighborhood and who always had to fight with the city and the state to get any scrap that could be dropped off the table for their neighborhood. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Gloveville and all the Slavic influences. But I just wanted to point out those 2 points of history that the racism extends not only to people of Hispanic ancestry and African American, but also the Slavic Americans. I couldn't believe how people would talk about them. And so I just wanted to share that point. And we did defeat that bill. I want to let you know we fought that and said, don't bring this back again. So, but it shows you exactly what Rachel was talking about. And I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Dennis.
Real quickly, Sandra's asking us if we're going to be able to speak. Are we going to get an opportunity to ask
Yes.
questions or make
So
comments?
we were going to we're going to conclude this part of the program quickly, and then we're going to have a community section for an hour, till 7:30, where people can bring up because the CAG is concerned with Superfund, and sometimes our concerns run, of course, to the community, and we want to share this CAG meeting with the community. So we have 2 parts of the meeting. We have the CAG meeting, which is sort of, science and slow. And then we're going to have the community section coming up very soon.
So no, I think maybe Sandra could clarify for us all. She can speak for herself, but I think are you talking about at the governor's, Sandra? When we're in the meeting with the governor, are we going to be able to speak? Okay, yeah. Are we going to be able to do that at the governor's?
We don't know. Marie Venner has organized this meeting, so we have to, but she's now on our advisory board, so she'll be responsive to us.
Okay.
Hold on just a minute. To my understanding, there will be like a half-hour preparation before we meet with the governor. And then we will be presenting things to the governor and then expecting him to give us an answer of what his actions will be. Now, how many people are going to be able to speak or interact with the governor in a half hour? That's not a whole lot of time. So I think if we have a Zoom meeting, people can fill the chat box with whatever they want to fill it with and try to get answers back, because I think it's going to be hard for everyone to be able to speak. Ren, you wanted to say something. You can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, just real quickly, I'm really excited about this idea. Anything that I or Sierra Club can do to support. I know you have a goal of turning out, I think you said 500 folks to join. We can certainly help promote the event. And then, just from what I know about Governor Polis and experiences that I've had working with him and his administration in the past, there's definitely issues with accountability, especially as far as HB 19-1261 goes. I would suggest that we have a plan in place and be prepared for some shenanigans at this meeting, whether that's him not showing up and sending representatives. Either way, we can prepare, we can have a social media campaign that can, elevate, like we set up a community meeting with him and he didn't show because that looks really bad. So either way, whether he's there or not, it's a great opportunity, I think, to draw some attention to the parts of his clean energy plans that are lacking and yeah, really hold him accountable there. So
can we conclude the CAG meeting and get into the community part where we can all continue this conversation? But I really feel that we should conclude the CAG meeting.
We're rolling into the next section, right?
Right. So we're going,
information.
let's see. So play slideshow, just a second. So if anyone has a suggestion for something they want to have on the December CAG agenda, please email us. Now the CAG meeting is adjourned. And all are welcome to stay to hear community concerns. The next CAG meeting will be on December 15th. So, and thank you very much. So everybody's welcome to stay for the community concerns part of the meeting. The CAG meeting is adjourned. And we have a couple of presentations which are going to be germane to our conversation. Adrian Pike, who's a CAG member. He is going to speak about his concerns in OU3 or in Globeville. So Adrian? Adrian?
Unmute him.
Okay, okay, hang on. I got to pull up, I did a presentation. So I'm just going to pull that up. Can you?
I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see. Stop share. I'm impressed.
Real quickly, Ren, did you finish concluding what you were going to say or ask about before we transitioned between the meetings?
Yeah, just about. I just want to offer my support
Okay.
in planning this the meeting for December 3rd and amplifying on social media. You can definitely help out with that.
Okay, well, thanks. Just checking.
Good. I'll get that word to Marie Venner too. And I'm sure that Michael will also get the word to Marie. So we'll be in touch with everyone. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Great. I want to say thank you again to Sierra Club. You were a great partner in lawsuits, a great co-plaintiff too. It's good to have you on board.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm excited about the future of our work in Globeville and Elyria, Swansea as well. There's still much to be done.
So Adrian, do you have a presentation you're going to share?
Yep. Can you
take your time?
Can you see this?
No, we can't see anything now.
How do I switch you over to that?
You just, Rachel, you go down to the bottom of your screen and there's a little green box that says screen share.
Oh, there. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, there you are. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, because let me, okay. Because what I was going to talk about is something that I didn't think got a lot of attention, and it's been something that I'm very concerned about. So it's the air pollution in Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea. And just and I'm sure everybody's aware of this, but to give you some context, Suncor, the refinery, is about 5.3 miles northeast of Denver from downtown. So it's really not that far. It's really very close. And it's the only petroleum refinery in Colorado, and it's one of the largest. So we've got it literally sitting on our doorstep. And it's the major supplier of gasoline and diesel and jet fuel. And it also supplies paving grade asphalt, which I didn't realize the last part, because across from us is also an asphalt company that my understanding is they coat the poles for the telegraph poles. So, and that's another source of creosote in this environment here. But the thing about it is, when you have a refinery like that, it's gonna start putting toxins in the air. So the residents of Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea, you are continually exposed to the contamination from toxic gases. And I call them gases because they are liberated in a gaseous form, even though at room temperature, they would be liquids. I mean, when I worked in the lab, all of these chemicals that are analyzed out of these stacks most of them in a liquid form at room temperature. And if you ever opened a bottle, you couldn't open it in the lab, you had to open it in the hood. So that tells you about how toxic they are. So, and as far as I know, no other actual air samples have ever been performed in this region. And if anybody knows anything about this more than I, correct me, because this is what I've done on the little bit of research that I can't get into the medical school library anymore, and I can't get into university libraries anymore. I'm not a member, so I can't get into do the types of research I would normally do for this type of presentation. So these types of analysis would help us understand the epidemiology of the higher incidences of the pathological conditions we have. And we all are aware of that. We all know that in GES, global malaria swansea, we have a very high incidence of different conditions. So the only thing I can project here is that because I haven't found any data from the analysis, from the air analysis from Suncor, so I've extrapolated, and I think it's safe to say that the data that they found in the Richmond refinery, they did an air analysis around the Richmond refinery in 2017. And I think it's pretty safe to say that similar compounds will be found in the air around the Suncor refinery. And for those of you that are familiar with these methods, it's EPA method 8260, 8270 for volatile organic compounds and semi-volatile organic compounds using GCMS. Now the GCMS part, this is the part down here that I am very familiar with. When I was in the medical school, we used these extensively to do, and not obviously we didn't do a lot of environmental analysis, but we did biochemical. So it was sugars and fatty acids and organic acids and steroids and amino acids. So basically anything other than the environmental contaminants. But safe to say that I understand the technology, I understand how the analysis is done, and the compounds that they measured is what we used to use to do our extractions. So the way they did their analysis, they were categorized. They did the acid, metals, and aldehydes and microscopy for asbestos. Dioxins and dibenzofurans, those from my early days, dioxins were probably the most carcinogenic compounds that we ever analyzed, or anybody's ever analyzed. They're one of the most dangerous ones you can have. Then they also looked for the mass particulate matters, the polycyclic aromatics. These are carcinogenic as well. And then the VOCs. What I found was when I did the analysis, I should say, I did the research, they actually had over 160 solvents. Well, solvents that were gases that were liberated from the stacks. There was over 160 of these. And out of those 160, even though most of them will give you some side effect, I picked out 12. I just wanted to review because I didn't think I'd have a lot of time here. So I just picked out at least 12, I think, to go through. And these are some of the ones that I thought would be of interest and were important to you. Benzanthracene, I think you know, is a creosote type compound, and those are the ones you'll smell. Benzene, I think you probably know, that's very carcinogenic, and I did manage to pack together, you know, some of the things that it's responsible for. There's benzopyrenes and benzofluorethanes. There's a whole bunch of those, and carbon tetrachloride. That's the one. And I don't know if they use them in the dry cleaners anymore, but when you used to go to the dry cleaners, there was always a smell, and that was the carbon tetrachloride. And that one is actually very dangerous because it does actually give you liver cancer. Benzene will give you probably cancer everywhere. Carbon tetrachloride will definitely give you liver cancer. I'm surprised the people that work in the dry cleaners never. I don't know if they have a union or anything like that, but it is pretty dangerous to be smelling that on a daily basis. And then there's carbonyl sulfide. And then there's the dioxins. I mentioned those. Those are really bad. Now, don't forget, these are just some of the ones that I pulled out of the 160 odd compounds that are liberated on a continual basis. And this is actually around Richmond, but it's safe to say I think these are going to be also found if they did the analysis around Suncor that you would find the similar compounds. What they didn't do, they just identified that they just said they were present. They were present in high enough concentrations that they could identify them. And what they didn't do is to measure them, which was kind of surprising, or they didn't report the measurements here. Ethanol chloride is another one that will give you liver damage. Any of these benzene compounds, ethylene benzene, ethylene dibromide, ethylene dichloride is a similar compound to carbon tet, and similar carbon. All the chlorinated hydrocarbons will give you some kind of liver cancer or some kind of disease. And then I just listed the benzene, which is the one that will give you, because it's so carcinogenic, I just listed that out as all the types of symptoms you can get when you are you're exposed to that on a regular and daily basis. The benzopyrenes are another one, another group that will give you irritation, the eyes and skin. And then there's the butadienes. These will give you similar effects. And then there's the dibenzofurans, and these are also quite dangerous. So this is just a few, literally a half a dozen that, and I also included cadmium here because it is of great interest here in Globeville. And because it does cause a lot of damage to the nervous system and to the respiratory system. And carbon disulfide, of course, is the rotten egg smell. I don't know if you remember that one, but that in itself is a nasty compound. So in conclusion, so what I conclude is the analysis of the air samples around the Richmond refinery show extensive contamination. So they, it is highly contaminated, and I believe you can say that around Suncor as well. The individual effects of these, so each one on its own will cause a pathological condition. Each one. The contaminants are known carcinogens, the hydrocarbons. They're also teratogenic, so that means that given at the doses at a high enough level can cause malformations in unborn babies if they're exposed. And from what I can remember, in the first trimester of pregnancy is when the limbs are formed. So this would be a higher incidences of teratogenic. That would be the PCBs. Also, then you will see a high incidence of asthma, hemolytic disease, liver cancer because of the chlorinated hydrocarbons. And then don't forget, this is just based on the individual components that are released. But because they combine together, I believe they have a synergistic effect. So that is the other problem when you have combined carcinogens released on a daily basis. And the bottom line is the air that's around Suncor refinery should be monitored and analyzed on a routine basis. And I have asked for this question probably in the last 20 years since I've lived in Globeville, because the people that live here are aware of all the different smells that we encounter on a daily basis. And I've asked repeatedly, for analysis, what can be done about it, and called the city, called the police, called different agencies, and I was told, when the wind blows in your direction, just close your windows. That's what I've been told. And of course, in the summertime, we always like to have our windows open in the evenings, and believe it or not, that's when it it can get really bad. So that's I just wanted to put a short presentation together. It's something that I'm very concerned about, and I wish I could say there was a happy ending to this, but I have yet to find a way of getting this the air. After living here for 20 years, I just think it's ironic that we do not know what's in the air that we breathe. I think it's absolutely incredulous. Okay, any questions or I hope I didn't rush through that too much.
May I?
Absolutely.
This is Drew. Adrian, thank you so much. I always knew you were a smart guy, but now I really realize how valuable you are. We're really fortunate to have you on this. And I know you are also on the community council for the health study, which was one of the things that we got in the lawsuit against I-70 when we were co-plaintiffs with Sierra Club and others, and Ava did really incredible work with Earth Justice. So, but I want to say, I really encourage you to keep asking these questions and try to get answers with the PI, the principal investigator, that we will meet tomorrow night.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. I encourage you to be at that steering committee meeting. And also here, Sandra's on the call. She's on the community council as well, as is Yadira, and who unfortunately, I wish her the best. I hope she gets better, but she couldn't be here tonight. So really, one of the things the principal investigator is able to do, this particular investigator was chosen because what they want to do is work with the community on citizen science and help residents in GES actually start to measure and get concrete answers to the questions you're asking. Okay. So I think that I encourage you to pursue this and keep asking your questions, and let's get some answers. Okay, and it's not just Suncor. That's the thing.
Well, it's not, but it's one of the main. I mean, you know, there's one. Suncor is right around the corner from you. Well, not right around the corner, but it's close to you. There's one, Cobico, I think it's called, which is on the west side of I-25 at 58. There's a couple of asphalt companies there that whacked over I-25 into, and I don't know if they affect you there, but they come over to Globeville. And then there's the Purina,
yes,
and there's a few other ones down there. The animal, but anyway.
Yeah, Adrian, there are so many sources of pollution. I mean, we have diesel trains, diesel trucks, the highways. We have, but you're asking. I really thank you for just even starting to scratch the surface.
That's what it is. It's scratching the surface. It's just a really preliminary kind of introduction to, you know. And I mean, this is out in California. This is California data, but I think if they ever did do an analysis, you know, I'm sure maybe they've done it, Suncor, and they won't publish it. But if they ever did, I think this is the kind of information that you're gonna find.
There's one more point I'd like to make, if I may. Monday during the day, my eyes were burning so bad. All I could do is lay on my bed and pour eye drops in my eyes. I mean, this went on like half of the day. And then Tuesday, if you remember, we had a meeting. No, I guess I'm losing a day. This must have been Sunday. And Gail, one of your neighbors, was on that call, and Gail said, what was going on? My eyes were burning really, really bad.
Yeah.
And this happens periodically in GES.
You should get
we need to get to the bottom of this.
I don't know if you can get that.
Adrian, could you could you stop screen sharing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
So we can see each other. Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, everybody.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that was a fabulous presentation, and you hit the nail on the head.
And Adrian, I don't know if Theron is still, Theron Mackley is here, and you should know he is from a group called DeSmog, and he and I have been talking about putting monitors around the area to do an something independent from Suncor, so we don't need to have them slightly change the data.
Okay.
Theron, why don't you just say a little bit about that?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. Unfortunately, the monitors we're talking about are just general monitors. They'll detect all those things, but won't be able to tell you which of those chemicals it is or what the concentrations are. You really need professionals to come in and test for those types of chemicals. And then you'll have to use calibrated equipment if you plan on going back against any of these companies, because it's you have to have accurate monitoring. So
Can I
I think
just
it's a
say
tough
something
thing.
right there? Oh, can I say something about that?
Sure.
The samples are collected on, they sometimes a charcoal, there's a charcoal strip or a charcoal, and so the organics will be absorbed. And the analysis isn't actually done on the air per se. It's actually concentrated into a canister or something like that. Then it's desorbed onto a mass. If you remember in the very beginning, I said they were done by GCMS. So that sample is desorbed onto a GCMS. It's a very simple procedure. It's a very routine procedure, and they're done. The EPA, I know the EPA Region 8 here because I know the people there. They do them all day and every day, but not particularly from Colorado, because I think I may be right in saying that Region 8 here in Denver is the only one of its type in the country. And, people, you may want to check that. But it is specific for that type of environmental analysis. They do very specific types of environmental analysis. And they do this on a regular basis. The only catch for doing for capturing the air as you're describing is that it is an expensive analysis to do per sample. There are contract labs in Denver or around Denver that do these on a regular basis. Whether they would participate in something like this, I don't know. Back in the day, and I'm going back several years ago, when I used to know different people in different labs, you're talking about maybe $400 a sample. But one sample from one site will give you the information that they got from the Richmond site. Now, the Richmond site in California was done by EPA. I don't know why they can't do the same thing here. You can capture the samples as you're talking about, but then you can also send them to the EPA to be processed.
Sure. I just want to be clear that I wasn't going to do those kind of tests. That the sensors that I have are going to just monitor for PM 2.5 to tell people when it's a bad day out there.
So we have one more presentation to go. So does anyone else have any questions for Adrian at the moment? Drew.
I just wanted to say that the Suncor, there are some grants for supplemental environmental projects out. There is a request for applications due December 31st. And as far as I'm listening to Theron Mackley talk about tests and stuff, I'm not sure if we could afford certain tests, but I'm just asking people to start thinking about, are there things we want to do? Do we want to start measuring stuff, or is that so expensive and prohibitive? So
it is expensive. It is expensive if you did it as a private individual. If there was a lab, this contract labs that would, you may be able, they may say, okay, I'll do one for you, because they do, these analyses are done every day in different labs in the city. They're pretty straightforward to do.
Adrian Brown, excuse me, Adrian Brown, are you there?
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Well, more an observation. I've actually, full disclosure, worked on the Suncor property before it was the Suncor property, both on groundwater and on air, and have taken some of these samples. To the best of my recollection, they are obliged to take a continuing series of samples to continue operation, and those results are available at the state level. And we all know how difficult it can sometimes be to get them, but you can go down and look at them in the library if you wish. Secondly, there are a series of what I would call index tests, which can be done for volatile organic hydrocarbons and other hydrocarbons in the atmosphere, which are routinely done with literally handheld equipment, which is remarkably accurate. And what these do is they don't provide the basic information if you're going to go sue somebody or whatever, but they do provide a very cheap, very easily obtained baseline over a long period of time. One of the great difficulties with air contamination generally is that it's highly variable. Depends which way the wind's blowing, depends whether they're venting, depends whether they're doing this, that, and the other on the site. And these relatively inexpensive but continuous monitors are able to be deployed to give you a continuous measurement of the gross organic contaminants that can then be calibrated to the much more expensive tests. So there are strategies for getting this information, and I think that it would be worth finding out the extent to which the Suncor is obliged to get them as a part of their operating permit. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to discover that there's a good deal of data out there.
Thank you, Adrian. Joan Seaman, are you ready? Are you going to say something? Joan is our research person, so you might want to know that she can do some research on what you're talking about, Adrian. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
So
Joan
Seaman has been invaluable to me on a number of campaigns. She is our researcher. She is a fact-based researcher, and she has done a lot of work around Suncor.
Bridget, I'm going to keep it short because we're really losing time, but Suncor now is
We
one of
have
my
30 minutes left.
yeah. Well, it is one of my most favorite projects now. This beats even Rocky Flats. And the reason I'm saying that is it is just amazing where when I read a comment like this, again, about Suncor, it's really great. This is from the State Health Department, Colorado Department of Health, and it actually is from the head of the health department. And she says the Suncor refinery is the only current industrial source of hydrogen cyanide in Commerce City, North Denver. We have a new location that the state of Colorado is looking at, and it's called Commerce City North Denver, CCND. And she says, in 2019, CDPHE modeled hydrogen cyanide levels around Suncor refinery. The modeling showed levels that are unlikely to harm adults or children in the area around the refinery. Well, I just have learned something that even Adrian's brought this up, that we extrapolate the measurement of hydrogen cyanide. A very dangerous chemical because they used it in Nazi Germany to kill the Jews, and they used it in our gas chambers, etc. And it is shocking for the Colorado Department of Health to claim that modeling would produce levels or show levels, modeling, not sampling, and that it was safe for children. That is CDPHE making the comment. And, California, I know Adrian in his presentation brought up California, and they've done the studies and they've spent the money to do it. And just recently we had House Bill 2012-65, 70 people got up and testified and were thrilled about that bill that was produced by the folks in Commerce City area, the legislators. And it was certainly an interesting bill. And I was told that the reason it failed was cost. Monitoring cost too much. Well, hydrogen cyanide, I found out, again, with this extrapolation from hydrogen, from carbon monoxide, that they can detect how much hydrogen cyanide was out there, and found out that California, they don't do that. They measure for the chemical itself. And modeling actually has been something that would have been interesting for the community of Commerce City and Denver, that they know there are people that model and know the direction, wind direction of where pollutants will go. Suncor is huge. And I didn't even know this, that you can go to a satellite and or a satellite link off of Wikipedia under Suncor, and you can literally spread your fingers and you can see how close Cherokee is and how huge Suncor is. Well, my interest has always been in hotspot pollution. Suncor is definitely a hotspot pollution. And the sad piece is, as it was already brought up, you know, they've had some serious excursions of accidents. From Chevron was a big example where 15,000 people were impacted from a Chevron accident in 2014. So where does this all bring us right now? When we have our state health department, that I will let you know, it was a shocker to me a couple of weeks, or just a week ago, that we have a toxicologist, the state toxicologist is, they've created a new program, again, Commerce City, North Denver. And they're looking at it as an environmental justice area, which, Rachel, you'll really you'll enjoy looking at this. That one of the biggest problems with Suncor certainly is tons of green gases are coming out of that plant, but mostly the public has to know there are mostly unregulated chemicals coming out of Suncor. And, you know, it is something we have to look at. But if we would please, Bridget, I didn't put it up, but I really thought it would be great for the people to understand about the toxicology. And it was amazing that our toxicologist, state toxicologist, has now got a website, Story Maps. And if you could bring up that picture again of the story maps, I was pretty taken aback about the graphs that they have presented to the public. And they show that 2.5 of the emissions from Suncor pretty bad, and et cetera. And so they said, or the toxicologist said, she'd focus on particles, benzene, and lead when it comes to Suncor. That was really troubling. And I do hope some of our scientists can take a look at what and where this particular CDPHE toxicologist is going. I spoke to someone recently on the second graph, Bridget, that you can show regarding benzene. Oh, benzene's coming out of those cars. It's coming out of those trucks. And Suncor is not releasing very much benzene. And I was just told by the permit writer for Suncor that, and I don't know how many people already knew this, I certainly didn't, that benzene is a fence line chemical that they are monitoring right now. And yeah, benzene is just one of the thousands of chemicals. And as Adrian pointed out again, chemicals can merge. So we have thousands of chemicals that we're concerned about, but how many come together and create another whole chemical? So we're looking at the Suncor cumulative exposure. It means add all those chemicals together. And what have we got? Well, right now, at this point, and people are really trying to push the monitoring of this. They know what's coming out of those stacks. And there was recently a CDPHE environmental regulator hired by CDPHE. He quit. He quit because he found out that Suncor did not know about hydrogen cyanide, how to really measure it, et cetera. So there's a lot to do, a lot to look at, and I really hope people will take a look at the toxicologist for the state of Colorado, who has downplayed odors, who has misrepresented, and I will say that, and she can come dispute me, but she's looking for people to to respond to her regarding this website that she has put up with this new map of where CDPHE is going to look at that area. And they're calling it an environmental justice area, which it is. Lastly, I have to say, to cut this short, that California is looking beyond just the chemicals that cause cancer. There's 189 of them right now that are being spewed from Suncor, and they're not monitoring for those chemicals. But what California said, there are chemicals that are such a concern for them, especially if there's an emergency disaster. And right now, that information actually has not been distributed to the community about what would happen if there is a potential of a disaster at Suncor. That information is not being distributed in the community, number one. And an emergency preparedness plan for all the chemicals that are sitting on site. This isn't just everything that's going out the stacks. I mean, it's certainly a problem, but there are so many chemicals that are stored on site, and the community has no idea about how dangerous some of those chemicals are if there is a release. And California said, you know, we need to be prepared for ammonia, benzene, 1,3-butadiene, cadmium, formaldehyde, hydrogen fluoride. I just learned about hydrogen sulfide and fluoride. Hydrogen fluoride is an issue, but many of these gases, they settle out very close to the ground and they move into the community. So again, monitoring, modeling, they're Wild Earth Guardians, which is they don't go too far. This time they said because of the way that the modeling is and this information coming from the Colorado Department of Health and EPA to say, don't worry about hydrogen cyanide, it's not a problem. Lastly, Dinah DeGette was startled by that kind of response in the state of Colorado on the hydrogen cyanide. And she said that, and I think she submitted a bill and it was gutted. It was another one of those that nobody wants to talk about, how dangerous and exposed the community is. So I will just stop right there, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Joan. Joan was the inspiration for getting the CAG started. She's the one who knows all the ins and outs and the players. And she has done 4 FOIA requests that resulted in thousands of very revealing and sometimes disappointing documents from the agencies, especially EPA. So thank you, Joan.
Bridget, I really hope that we can post somewhere the storybook. This is really critical that CDPHE is in there as a toxicologist to downplay the risk from Suncor. And if Wild Earth Guardians is going to say, shut Suncor down now, there is a reason. That facility also has extensive groundwater contamination. You can't have a facility like that since 1931 without contamination issues.
So thank you very much, Joan. Maybe I'm the person who is causing the problem. So Fran, we're going to go on to the next, I guess right now, is it anyone who wants to make comments or has questions or wants to share something, please feel free.
We have about 5 minutes. So if we're going to make it, anyone? I have a question, Jesse or Machea. Am I saying your name right? I just wanted to know what your background is and what brought you to this meeting.
Hey everybody. I wasn't expecting to speak, but yeah, Hormachea is how you say the last name. So I just found it on the Facebook page, I guess, for the local group. And yeah, I was just joining because it popped up on my calendar and just wanted to see what you guys are about. So I don't know that I missed like the first 45 minutes. So maybe what would help me is kind of what this normally is and how often you guys meet. give me a little more
Meet once a
background.
month.
And I guess where I'm from, I work in software development. So I'm VP of delivery, basically oversee the operations and strategy for a development software team.
Jesse, question, are you a resident of GES?
What's, you'd have to explain that, I guess. I'm in.
It doesn't matter. I just was curious because.
Jesse, do you live in Denver?
Yeah. I'm in Denver. I think I found this on the District 8
Oh, great.
Facebook page.
Belleville, Elyria, or Swansea?
No, he's from District 8.
Yeah, he wouldn't be. That's okay, Jesse. I just was curious because we have.
A lot of us aren't from District 8.
Yeah, sure, but good to join us, Jesse. Thank you.
We can use a software development
Okay, yeah,
person.
sorry. I've obviously just wandered in confused.
No, we are the EPA Community Advisory Group. We are to advise the EPA on work ongoing in the Superfund site, the Vasquez Boulevard I-70 Superfund site, which is in North Denver. And so we meet once a month, and our work is ongoing. And we are also to inform the community about developments in the Superfund site. So we could use a development person. So I'm glad you fell in.
All
So,
right, yeah, wandered in and maybe I can be useful.
yeah, keep in touch. Be in touch, Jesse.
If I can just make a comment about your meeting with the governor. I think you asked the governor, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask him to direct the Department of Health to do these studies that you want, like Adrian has been talking about. What are the people of Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea suffering under? And we want you to get out there and find out what it is. And then also, his health department is supposed to be overseeing Suncor, and bring that up, that you want to make sure that if they have an accident, that they've got an emergency plan, and what is he doing about that? And put it on his shoulders to actually direct his Department of Health to actually do something to inform the people what they're doing and what do we got to do about it. So, and then I think I remember a couple of emails this week from Bridget that the Suncor is not even an American organization. It's some kind of a foreign operation. And I'm not trying to say here that if Americans are poisoning us, it's okay. But when foreigners come in and poison us, it should be doubly egregious. So I just want to say there's another thing there. Get your congresswoman to put in an amendment saying companies that do business in Colorado from foreign countries shouldn't be polluting the neighborhood. So, I mean, just a thought. And Rachel said that the legislators, I don't think the legislators are focusing on this at all. And I hope that you'll try to educate them, and also Candy through the city council too, to get some alliances going with Commerce City. Commerce City is just like North Denver. They've never they don't even think of them as citizens. Are there people up there? We don't even know. And that's the prejudice that the establishment and the moneyed people have against North Denver and a Commerce City. So just wanted to add that, and thanks for letting me ventilate. I'll mute now.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yes, and I think it is now 7:30. Maybe my watch is a little fast. But anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here, for hanging in there. Thank you for all the information we've been able to share tonight. And I hope we can keep this going when we come back together again.
So I would just like say if Sandra could just give an announcement about when her meeting is going to be and how people can find out how to get on their Zoom meeting.
So we're having a community meeting this Thursday at 5 p.m. Let me see if I can share the information in the chat so you can get it. Let me see. hold on.
You could put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just I'm copying it and I'm gonna paste it. La 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 la.
Sandra, what will you be focusing on?
You'll see the agenda there. Let me see. I think I sent it already. So there's different things that we talking about.
So there is the Zoom.
Sandra,
See, yes.
where is all that coming from? Thank you, Joan. So Sandra, you sent an email this morning at 10:35 that had the agenda, so thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I'd like to talk about is there are neighbors that did not get their houses upgraded by the city that are really suffering from the I-70 construction. I talked to Anthony Martinez in Swansea. So I'd like to maybe fit that in. I'll send you an email, Sandra.
Okay.
But thank you for putting this together. This looks like a great meeting.
It's at 5:35. No, 5
Is it at,
o'clock.
is it at 5?
It's from 5 to 7 p.m. We're gonna have interpreters since we're gonna have some Spanish speaker residents also. So it's gonna be bilingual.
That's great, Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got it on my calendar.
So do we want to, are we going to send out some, like a Zoom meeting information for people who want to pre-meet before Governor Polis and kind of do some strategy around that?
So I think I will speak to Marie Venner and ask her if she can sort of bring us up to speed about plans and what's going on, and I can disseminate that. We can disseminate that.
Cool. Thank you, Bridget.
Yeah. And I would encourage everybody who has an interest in the work that we're doing to sign up for the newsletter. We send it out once a month, and we have a lot of various and sundry pieces of information in it. So you can go to our Facebook page and hook into the newsletter. I'll make sure our newsletter information is there.
Just one more thing, there's a couple uncovered things. I don't think we have to do them, but I just want to make sure that we didn't mean to discuss the OU2 tour. I guess that's sort of on hold because of COVID still.
Well, and that can, Christine, that could happen, I think, if we have smaller groups. I think that, isn't the group size 10 right now?
5.
5, okay. So if Chuck is interested in like leading a few people, I actually, there were a few students of mine who wanted to like learn about the area too. And I just took like 3 students with me and we talked about it, and I did a couple of those and just talked about what Chuck had talked to me about. And so if Chuck wants to plan a smaller, we can do smaller groups and do it that way. So yeah, it's still on,
Yeah.
still on.
I think the way you did it informally is fine. I can do that. I can do
Yeah.
the 39th Avenue thing. The only one I don't really know is the number 3.
Okay. I want to do the 39th Avenue with you.
It's great.
I want to see that.
It's a
That'd be great.
long, complicated thing for I-70.
Right.
We will try to get some dates together and get them out there.
100%.
Would it be possible to videotape those on your phone or some way and then be able to share that with people? That would be easier. And then you also have it, you know, for like future members, or if you needed to show it to the governor or to the city or to the state or anyone else, you could just bring that up and say, this is this.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea.
Great idea. Yeah.
To be able to like, yeah, we can use it and keep using it for media and all kinds of other things. So yeah, that's a great idea.
We do have one video that Candy, Adrian, Bridget, I think, myself made on operable unit 2. But I'm wondering if it focused more on the storm drainage than on the toxins. Adrian, do you remember?
I think he's gone, but we have Adrian's great video also talking about not the toxins, but the placement of the outfall. It's
Right.
14 minutes.
Oh,
So maybe we
As
can get like
a
this, like a
potential
little,
disaster.
could we put, like, we can get the videos and put them on our Facebook page maybe, and then
Yeah.
a couple other, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So folks can see it. Dope.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. Great meeting, everybody.
Yep.
Adios.
Everybody
And
stay
thank you to
warm.
all the newcomers. We're so happy to
Good.
see you.
Pretty good.
It
Yeah.
was very,
safe.
very, very
Thanks,
interesting.
all, for having me. Great to meet you.
Bye.
Bye, Rand.
Bye.
Bye-bye.